Love decorating for summer with coastal charm, vintage patriotic touches? In today's video, join me as I style each room with cozy red, white, and blue decor and a fisherman core twist. Hi friend, welcome back to Summerhill. If you love decorating for the holidays and you love coastal decor and vintage decor, then you're in the right place, because today we are decorating for the summer using a coastal vintage vibe, and I'm incorporating some fisherman core. So let's get started. So I'm gonna add a couple of flags to my wreath that's already here, and that's it. That'll give it that patriotic look that I'm going for. So I'm just gonna stick these down into each side and call it a day. That's an easy and simple way to give you a patriotic wreath without spending a lot of money. So I have a bell on my front door here that our cat rings when he goes out. And currently it has this green ribbon on it, but I'm gonna change it to this red and white stripe. And that's easy to do. I just untie this one. And the bell, it came from Hearth and Hand during Christmas. You can see on here where it rubs up against it. So I'm gonna put it right about in the same spot that it was. Yep. Now over in my entryway, I really wanna add a few elements of the red, white, and blue, the 4th of July, summer, patriotic, coastal, and a little bit of fisherman core. So we're gonna use this basket tray from Walmart. I recently bought this. I think I bought it for spring. They still have them available, and it's a great tray to put some decorations in. But the bottom of this tray is very lumpy. So to solve that, I'm gonna put a book in here. This is a vintage book I picked up at the thrift store that has an Americana. It's actually written related to American history, the inaugural address. So I thought it'd be perfect in the tray to give me that stability that I need. Next, I'm adding this vintage sailboat, and I thought it was perfect because it had the American flag colors, the blue and white in it. To finish off my design, I'm adding a vintage brass candlestick holder with my favorite, and I highly recommend these battery-powered candle tapers. You'll see more of those, and I'll put a link in the description. And then check out this bust of George Washington that I found at Michael's, and he was like super cheap. He was 50% off, so he's like $5.99, and really a great decoration for your patriotic summer decor. And I have more of these that we'll look at later as we decorate. Now, to finish off this design, I found this sweater pillow by Brooks Brothers at Marshall's, and this is one of my favorite finds this year. So we're gonna put him over in my old vintage French country bistro chair. It really softens the hard metal of this space. Now, to finish off the bench, I'm gonna add this big giant Eurosham of a linen ruffle material. And then I'm gonna layer in front of it this seersucker blue and white pattern. And I think this will pull out the colors of the picture even more. And then we have a basket with some flowers, and these flowers came from Hearth and Hand at Target. They are absolutely some of my favorite flowers by her line. She has tons more faux flowers at Target, so definitely go check it out. It's a great place to look for faux greenery and faux flowers. Next is this clipper ship that really gives you that fisherman core summer vibe. So if you find any clipper ship art, definitely grab that for your summer decor. Okay, so now let's head to the living room Well, I've already started doing a little bit of decorating, and I'll show you how I'm going to finish it. Okay, so I've already put this mirror up here, and I added this flag that I picked up at a garage sale. I really was looking for a flag that was already faded from weather because I love that faded look of an American flag. So I kept my candlesticks up here from the spring, added this mirror and the flag, and then I designed this printable for my Etsy shop this year. And I'm super excited about this. This is kind of the inspiration piece that inspired me to do the Coastal Vintage Fisherman Core vibe. And I always recommend when I'm working with clients or sharing with friends and family when decorating to start with a piece that has color in it. Your rug is a good one, or a piece of art, or your bedding in your bedroom. It's easier to pick solid colors than it is to pick patterns to solids. So always start with your inspiration piece. And this is a great one in my Etsy shop, and I'll be sure to put a link in the description. So all we're going to do is layer these two pieces right in the middle, like this, and then we'll do some decorating in front of that. So another fun patriotic DIY you can do is go to your thrift store and look for these flower frogs. They're glass pieces that have holes in them. Now these flower frogs are great to put flowers in vases, but they're also great to put stick flags in. So let's decorate with this idea on the mantle. This is a fun DIY that you can do. And that's it, that's the mantle. So now let's look at the hearth. Okay, so from springtime, I already had this basket here, but what says coastal summer better than Nantucket's hydrangeas? If you've ever seen Nantucket, I've got a whole video on decorating after going to Nantucket. So I have some pictures in there and video of the island, so you can check it out. But they have all these beautiful hydrangeas everywhere, pretty much all blue. But I decided to put some faux white hydrangeas here. Great place to look for these. I've seen them at Kirkland's, and they look very realistic, and the price is great. You can also find them at TJ Maxx and Marshalls and Home Goods if you just keep your eye out for them. And then there's more you can find online. But let's do a little bit of decorating here. Now the first thing I want to share with you is this Nantucket basket. I found this while vintage shopping in Atlanta, and I thought it was perfect because the Nantucket basket makes me think of the coast. The weave is what makes it unique. It has a smaller fine weave, and they typically have this kind of knobs on the straps. So this one was beautifully matched with my home with the blue and white ticking liner. So now let's look at my coffee table. Okay, so on my coffee table, I always keep this basket, this vintage thrift store basket that's actually a Pyrex dish holder. I keep it on my bench. Now, I'm going to put some big thrifted American red, white, and blue books in it. And I found this really cool one last year called A Short Illustrated History of the United States. So the colors are perfect. So we're gonna put these in here just to elevate it and give it some color. And then I'm gonna add this Cub Scouts book and this vintage candlestick holder. And then we'll add some coral in front as a part of the Fisherman Core style. Now, I think it would be nice to move this down, and let's put an open book on this end here. And then we'll put these old spectacles on the book. And we're finished with this area. Okay, next, underneath my TV, I have this wood trencher bowl. It was a craft market find. It's not old, but I love it because it fits on this narrow cabinet beautifully. But I thought it might be fun to put some seashells in this bowl to just fit in with that coastal vibe. Okay, so next, to finish off the look, I found a screensaver to put on the TV of the ocean. I figured that's a nice, beautiful, relaxing scene that fits in with the coastal vintage vibe of the room. So now let's head over to my dining room area and I'll share with you some ideas of how to decorate bookcases. So in my dining room area, I have these bookcases and I love to decorate them with books and seasonal decor. I found these patriotic trivets while thrifting and I thought they'd be perfect on my bookcases. And then let's add a shell onto these books to bring in that coastal vibe. But probably my all-time favorite decoration is adding a basket to the front of your bookcase. I simply did this by putting a nail into the top and then tying a little piece of twine onto the basket handle. Then I added some dogwood in here, some ribbon that matches the ribbon at the front door. See how I'm repeating that pattern? And then a medium-sized flag, and that's it. And it makes such a big statement on otherwise a very mundane bookcase. So let's head over and look at the other bookcase, and I'll show you what I did there. So starting on the bottom part, I brought out my Curio Knives teapot that has a clipper ship. So see how I'm repeating that pattern of the clipper ship over in the entryway, which, to give you an idea of where that is, it's literally right over there. So it's close by. And then down here, I grabbed another Curio Knives bowl that has sailboats on it, and we're putting it in this wooden bowl on this shelf. So now what do we put here? Remember what I found at Michael's? Well, we have Abraham Lincoln and we have Thomas Jefferson. But I don't want to just sit them on these books because then they're the same height and we want to vary the height. So we're going to put Abraham here and then we're going to get a block. And this is actually, this was a DIY project from years ago that many people have enjoyed making. So I'll put a link in the description on how you can make these presidents with these blocks. And these are for sale in my Etsy shop, the printable. And I think I may even have them for free on my website, the smaller ones for this project. So we're going to put that there and put Thomas Jefferson on top. So now we have patriotic and we have fisherman core coastal down at the bottom. But what do we put up here at the very top? I have another trivet to show you. This trivet is Betsy Ross, and I love the Betsy Ross flag. So I was super excited when I saw this trivet at the thrift store, or maybe it was a garage sale, I can't remember. But behind it, I thought we would put some Betsy Ross flags. Okay, so to start off with, I picked out a glass jar that had a tiny mouth at the top, so that when I put the flags in there, they kind of stand upright. And really, they look better closer together. That's one reason why I went with this smaller frog than the bigger one, because they hold together better. So we're going to put that back here, and we can enjoy these little Betsy Ross flags with Betsy Ross making the flag. So let's head to my kitchen rocking chair room, because we're going to go a little more military in there with a cool find that my husband discovered recently. So recently, my husband found this military Navy shirt. But look how beautiful the design is on the back with the sailor piece. And I did my very best to get it as clean as I could. It actually has some stains on it, but that's okay. I feel like that just gives it that vintage vibe. So, don't you think this is perfect for our coastal fisherman core, vintage, patriotic decorating? I thought it was perfect. So we're going to put it center stage, right in the middle up here. And then next to it, I thought we would incorporate some red, white, and blue. And I have an idea for that. So a good friend sent me this red, white, and blue scarf, and it is fabulous to decorate with. I've hung it over my hutch. You can hang it outside. There's so many things you can do with it. She used to have it in her Etsy shop. She doesn't anymore. But if I can find some similar, I'll put a link in the description because it is a great, really long scarf that you can decorate with. So over here is my milk pitcher. Let's leave that. But I have an idea for my cutting board. So I thrifted this garlic basket while visiting family in Maine. And I thought, how cute would it be to put a couple of flags in here and add it on top of my cutting boards? So that's all for that area. So now I just have a couple of more things to do in front of the wall. I want to do something on this table, and I have a little pillow that I'm going to add to one of the chairs. So here's another trivet, and this one is the Battle at Bunker Hill. And I thought, since we have a military shirt in here, let's do the battle scene in this room with it. For these chairs, I'm going to leave the white pillows, but let's add a patriotic pillow. Now on my hutch, I already had my red and white Currier and Ives dishes, and I decided just to keep it because it fits so beautifully into the room. And I already had these cookbooks that were red, white, and blue. So I really didn't have to change much except this cloche. So currently this little cloche has a spring teacup in it. So I thought, why not add the blue Currier and Ives in here for the red, white, and blue decorations. And that's it. We're all done decorating. So grab you something nice to drink, sit back and relax. I'll turn on some beautiful music and we'll do a walking tour from the entryway all the way back here to my kitchen sitting room.